Welcome back. We've been considering the priority that Jesus placed upon spending personal, intimate time with the Father. Today's passage that I want to look at is a long one from John chapter 11, verses 1 to 44. It's about the raising of Lazarus from the dead. So I'm going to read this beginning in John chapter 11, beginning at verse 1. Now a certain man was sick, Lazarus of Bethany, the town of Mary and her sister Martha. It was that Mary who anointed the Lord with fragrant oil and wiped his feet with her hair, whose brother Lazarus was sick. Therefore the sisters went to him, saying, Lord, behold, he whom you love is sick. When Jesus heard that, he said, This sickness is not unto death, but for the glory of God, that the Son of God may be glorified through it. Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. So when he heard that Lazarus was sick, Jesus stayed 2 more days in the place where he was. Then after this, he said to the disciples, Let us go to Judea again. The disciples said to him, Rabbi, lately the Jews sought to stone you, and are you going there again? Jesus answered, Are there not 12 hours in a day? If anyone walks in the day, he does not stumble, because he sees the light of the world. But if anyone walks in the night, he stumbles, because the light is not in him. These things he said, and after that he said to them, Our friend Lazarus sleeps, but I go that I may wake him up. Then his disciples said to him, Lord, if he sleeps, he will get well. However, Jesus spoke about his death, but they thought he was speaking about taking rest and sleep. Then Jesus said to them plainly, Lazarus is dead. And I am glad for your sakes that I was not there, that you may believe. Nevertheless, let us go to him. Then Thomas, who is called the twin, said to his fellow disciples, Let us go also, that we may die with him. So when Jesus came, he found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days. Now Bethany was near Jerusalem, about 2 miles away, and many of the Jews had joined the women around Martha and Mary to comfort them concerning their brother. Then Martha, as soon as she heard that Jesus was coming, went and met him, but Mary was sitting in the house. Now Martha said to Jesus, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But even now I know that whatever you ask of God, God will give you. Jesus said to her, Your brother will rise again. Martha said to him, I know that he will rise again in the resurrection at the last day. Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me, though he may die, he shall live. And whoever lives and believes in me shall never die. Do you believe this? She said to him, Yes, Lord, I believe that you are the Christ, the Son of God, who is to come into the world. And when she had said these things, she went her way and secretly called Mary, her sister, saying, The teacher has come and is calling for you. As soon as she heard that, she arose and quickly came to him. Now Jesus had not yet come into the town, but was in a place where Martha had met him. Then the Jews who were with her in the house and comforting her, when they saw that Mary rose up quickly and went out, followed her, saying, She is going to the tomb to weep there. Then when Mary came to where Jesus was, she saw him. She fell down at his feet, saying to him, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. Therefore, when Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who came with her weeping, he groaned in the spirit and was troubled. He said, Where have you laid him? They said to him, Lord, come and see. Jesus wept. Then the Jews said, See how he loved him. Then some of them said, Could not this man, who opened the eyes of the blind, also have kept this man from dying? Then Jesus, again groaning in himself, came to the tomb. It was a cave, and a stone lay against it. Jesus said, Take the stone away. Martha, the sister of him who was dead, said to him, Lord, by this time there is a stench, for he has been dead 4 days. Jesus said to her, Did I not say to you that if you would believe, you would see the glory of God? Then they took the stone from the place where the dead man was laying. And Jesus lifted up his eyes and said, Father, I thank you that you have heard me. And I know that you always hear me. And because of the people who are standing by, I said this, that they may believe that you sent me. Now when he had said these things, he cried with a loud voice, Lazarus, come forth! And he who had died came out, bound hand and foot with grave clothes, and his face was wrapped with a cloth. Jesus said to them, Loose him and let him go. Now, many of the miracles that Jesus performed, he would speak and it would just occur. It's reminiscent of his creation of the world in Genesis chapter 1. He said, Let there be light, and there was light. He said, Let the water separate from the waters, and the water separated from the waters. Jesus spoke to the winds and the wave while he was with the disciples, Peace, be still. And the storm was stilled. But this situation was different. In this situation, Jesus decided that he wanted to give the glory to the Father in such a way that no one would miss it. In this situation, he prayed. Not only in this situation did he pray, but did you note in the beginning of the reading that Jesus already knew that Lazarus was sick and that his sickness was going to end in death? And yet Jesus stayed where he was until after Lazarus died. Martha came, and then Mary came and said, Lord, if you'd only been here, you could have healed him. He wouldn't have died. But God had a bigger purpose in what was going on. Jesus asked Martha, Do you believe that your brother will rise again? Well, yes, Lord, I believe that he'll rise in the resurrection, in the last day. Jesus said, Martha, I am the resurrection. I am the life. He who believes in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. And he who believes in me and lives shall never die. Do you believe this? That's the question for us. Do you believe it? Jesus then went to that tomb where there was a man who had been dead 4 days and told him to take the stone away. They were, the stench, it's going to be. He says, Did I not tell you that if you believe, you would see the glory of God? So I ask you, is there anything too hard for your God to do? Do you really believe that God is able to do exceeding abundantly above all that you ever ask or think? Not only is he able to heal people, not only is he able to raise people from the dead, but raise them from the dead after 4 days when they should be decaying and stinking in the ground. God's ways are not our highways, our ways. His purposes are far above our purposes. His thoughts are beyond our thoughts. What do you believe that God will do for you? Now, I'm not saying that he'll raise somebody from the dead right now. That was a special moment with Jesus on the earth in order to prove who he was. But do you believe that if God wanted it to happen, it would and could happen? That's really the point here. That's what Jesus is asking Martha. Do you believe that this is possible? I know that right now you can't kill me. I know you're saying, yeah, because over a video. But if you were here with me, you couldn't kill me. You could stop this tent from living on the earth, but you couldn't kill me. Not because of my prowess, not because of my greatness, but because of the power of my God. That he who believes in Jesus, though he may die, yet shall he live. And those who live shall never die. The power of Jesus was displayed on that day for all to hear. But his example to us in that prayer as well is that he wanted the Father to receive the glory, not himself. When you pray and God answers, who gets the glory? Is it because you prayed? Because you prayed? Or was it because God in his grace answered that prayer? And God in his grace healed that individual. God in his grace redeemed that person to salvation. We need to be all about giving God the glory. Take time to pray today. Remember to glorify your Father who is in heaven. Hallowed be his name. Magnify him for who he is and what he has done. Take time to pray and have a blessed day.